What it do, everybody, man? It's your gracious host here with you with another edition of Live on Sunday, man. It's your boy King Crowder checking back in with you like we always do on Sunday, chopping it up, having a great conversation, and of course, talking about your week. If it's your first time here, share it live, comment, anything that you want to do, man. And today's edition is a little bit different. As we know, happy Father's Day. Let me say it again. Happy Father's Day to all the fellas out there trying to figure it out, to all the men that are growing in life, working hard, providing for your family, doing what they're supposed to do. I want you to know, man, fatherhood is a thankless job. Being a man is a thankless job. It is so hard to get the respect, the admiration, the dedication, the love, and many other things you would like. But on days like this, holidays, moments, you got to remind yourself that it is possible, that you can do it, and that everything you're working on is beneficial to you. So, man, how was your week? Number one, check in with your friends and family. If you haven't texted any of the men in your family, if I haven't reached out to you, happy Father's Day. I'm proud of you. Continue to be a great dad. Enjoy yourself. Everything, man. But last week for me, y'all, was vacation. Today was the first day back. That's why my voice sounds crazy, right? But on vacation, man, you get to mentally unplug. It was beautiful to get to go camping, just to be out in the wilderness. I want you to ask yourself, when is the last time you've been anywhere where you haven't been on your phone for at least 2 days, 3 days? Getting off your phone, no phone calls, no scrolling. It is the single greatest tool to mentally reset yourself. I know a lot of times we always talk about taking a break, taking this time. Every morning I wake up and pray and read to get my mind thrown throughout the day. No one ever tells us how to properly unplug, man. Unplugging, not getting on the phone, not responding, completely being unavailable. It is such an unnecessary skill. Such a necessary skill that we all got to add to our toolbox, tool shed, and repertoire. It will make a tremendous difference, man. But while we go into it, like we do, we always talk about what the streets saying, what's going on in America, and what we see coming soon. So number one, did you know that Trump stands on business? I know sometimes we talk about it, but other times we don't understand how serious it is when we mean these topics and what they got going on in America. This week, it's been crazy with the deportation. It's been crazy with the news. It's been crazy about we see when people say you who they are, you believe them. I know a lot of people thought about to get political about the election and things happening. You hear it, but you don't think about in real time how it's going to affect you. But on today's live, that's what we're going to talk about, man. Because a lot of people saw these people talking in the rallies, championing what they're saying, but they truly don't believe the gravitas to it. And I believe right now, y'all, we are going through a great awakening period in American history. Civil rights movement for Black Americans is still going on, but the Hispanic, Asian, and other ethnicities have to go through their own variation of a movement to get their communities intact. So let's break that down. First thing that lets me know that change is really coming is that there's a lawsuit going on in my city. Shout out to Houston Flexing. Take a read if you're from my audio audience. You can't read, so I'm gonna listen to you. A lawsuit was filed by HCC, Houston Community College, graduate team by Black top level officials of their campus were demonized, were demoted, and terminated. Allegedly, dude, they wrote to the Houston Chronicle, it was $100 million lawsuit being petitioned because Hispanics were given preferential treatment under Chancellor Moraldo. A Hispanic chancellor who was promoted to the college in 2014 used the word, we're going to transform the way education and leadership is done under college. But transformation to them means emphasizing another ethnic group. Let's think about this for a second. At the college level, there has been a movement of pushing other discriminatory practices that Black Americans have had to address in real time. Let it read. The new lawsuit states that Black removal that was resulted from termination, demotions, and Black top leaders were largely replaced by less qualified Hispanic hires. Ms. Brown, a former manager of grants and compliance at HCC, was hired back in 2016 from the College States and Federal Grant Program. She was the main plaintiff that mentioned discrimination was done towards FBAs. She was a female at the college who mentioned and noticed that this practice was going on. She mentioned that she reached out and heard that the chancellor said, "We want to get rid of you because the story and what you are mentioning is inadequate. You want to find people who find a certain criteria and fit this action." Remember, the motion was filed on Juneteenth, which is symbolic. The petition was given to a critical matter, which is being examined in a law-starting battle that was going on with the university. The lawsuit also alleges that FBA professionals, specifically women, with discrimination, retaliation, and disparate treatment to make room for less qualified Hispanic and white applicants. The university responded by saying the truth will be looked at, they will be examined, and we will take more of a deep dive into this action. Why am I bringing up this article for 2014, Terrell? King Crowder, why are you bringing up this article? If it's old news, it already happened. Because they settled. Did you know they settled this week saying, yeah, what we found out was true. Yeah, they were doing discriminatory practices towards the supergroup women who were at the university working and in the program. Yeah, it was true that the chancellor that made those comments was a derogatory statement. So what I'm asking people is that, is this lawsuit a forecast to more lawsuits that will happen in the future? In the future, will we see more lawsuits being brought about on discriminatory practices? I'm gonna tell you something that I have a conversation with young men all the time about that I believe will be brought up in the future. If you have a position in America, and America is an English-speaking place, is it discriminatory for entry-level positions to say you must speak Spanish? I never heard that being mentioned, but I heard it being tossed about on the radio. If applicants say this thing, if it is preferable treatment to go one way, is that a discriminatory practice? If you have a constitution, remember, race, ethnicity, creed, gender, nothing can be going against, right? Whatever you go against, a person must have a fair and equal shake, which I truly believe is a big thing, right? How you get qualified, what you qualify for. I agree with all of that. No, without a doubt. But what they were saying was, do you believe this act has credence? Credence meaning, if you have a job candidate, can you hire for a non-American native language in the future? Think about it. If most of young Americans specifically speak primarily English is the official language going forward and forever, can you then hold that standard requiring people to learn something that is not required or stated under the law? It's a very strange situation, but I do believe that practice, that law, that understanding will come about. Remember, HCC was the first domino we seen happen. What that means is it is a practice that has been signal boosted. When you hear signal boosted, right, that means people are talking about it now. So now the word is out. Hey, if we see a certain this going on, can you then say it is unfair? If it is unfair, if it is unconstitutional, is there implications to things going differently in the future? I don't know, but I'm telling you, my spidey senses are definitely tingling. And when they tingle, what they tell me is that this lawsuit is not the first. It's the first of many moving forward of the new culture we see going on in America. And like I said, you got to be able to follow trends and see things before they happen. That lawsuit, from a college standpoint, won't be the only one. Seeing this happen later down the road is where the true skill and mobility lies at. And I believe that article sheds a phenomenal light and action towards it. Next up, as we continue to talk about things, right? As we continue to break down other things, I think it's important that we also see an article, watch an article about claims and other things going on with the reparations movement. If you haven't been keeping up, stay with me, stay with me, stay with me. The movement is still going strong in California. What is interesting is this, y'all. There was an assembly that recently happened, right? And in this assembly, people's notes are being leaked. Remember, in California, you have the riots, but they're also leading the way on the reparations movement. What I want you to see is that we actually have members that are other minorities speaking on the movement and their thoughts behind it. Fair use, fair use.
Economist consultants from the task force reported the total amount could be as much as 800 billion. 800 billion. That's 2.5 times the size of our entire state budget. To pay for that, you'd need a major tax hike, unlike anything this state has ever seen before. I recognize and acknowledge the painful part of our history. The pains of our past should not be paid by the people of today. The majority of our state is Latino and Asian, making up 55% of our population. Most of them, like me, are first, second, or third generation immigrants who had nothing to do with slavery, discrimination, Jim Crow laws. Nothing. It is fundamentally unfair to force these people to pay for this, and because of that, I will be opposing to economist consultants from the
Now, this is the 71st district in California, right? And what she said, being a child of an immigrant, right? Do you believe you are obligated to take care of, to pay, and work towards the reparations movement? Short answer, yes. Why? It's not you. It is the sins of the aggrieved. It is not you that has to do it. But when you decided to immerse yourself in the economy of America, you have to understand you decided to take on the good, the bad, and the ugly. If I marry into a family, right? When I marry my wife, I marry her issues with a father, issues with a brother, trauma, relationship issues, divorces, breakups, anything that went wrong with that family. I'm deciding to take that on my shoulder, no matter how I feel, no matter what I think. When I decided to marry into it, when you decide to go into it voluntarily, you cannot be mad off symptoms that come around from it. Because in my opinion, y'all, strictly for me, the reparation movement is so strong, I predict it'll pass in 10 to 15 years. The issues that most immigrants or people from immigrant backgrounds have to understand is this. You can have your feelings about it, right? But whatever rules, actions, laws, and land back decisions that are in place, you can't do anything about it. If you do not see and know now the political fortitude that FBAs have in this country is very strong. What do you mean by that? Movements, issues, focus, legislation, movement, shaking, culture, everything is influenced by us. So the culture right now, if you do not know, this is the focus point. So If I was any political leader, this subject, you better not touch it. California is going to lead the way. They're going to lead the way because they have a lot of ethnicities out there. And the Black radical class in California is strong. California is going to prove it, then New York, then everywhere else. That's generally how the world goes in the United States. But this subject is so interesting because everybody has a take on it. But what everybody doesn't understand is that it is already a motion and movement that is going to happen. And the motion and movement that is happening cannot be stopped. No matter if you love it, no matter if you like it, no matter if you resent it, no matter if you don't understand it, no matter if you don't even think what happens deserves of it. What you got to understand is now is the time just to be quiet about the issues. That's what it's about. And the reason why you got to be quiet about these issues, from my perspective, is that there are a lot of other issues going on right now that you must focus on. I'm going to dive into it by letting another lady speak about ICE and the military's lap they're doing towards immigrants in this country. Take a listen.
Donald Trump and his MAGA cronies are a threat to our democracy. They are a threat to the republic. In response to the ICE raids in Southern California, I've seen a lot of people say that Black people, this is not our fight. And I'm here to tell you that that is factually incorrect. My name is Sidoni. I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, and I have lived in the United States since I was a baby. I will tell natural born citizens something that you don't really think about, but it takes forever to become a United States citizen. I came here before I have memories, and I did not become a United States citizen until I was 17 years old. I was a senior in high school. I had lived my entire life in New York City. I didn't know anywhere else. I had no memories of anywhere else. But the place that I considered home did not consider me one of them until I was 17 years old. ICE is not just looking for Latino immigrants, okay? ICE will make their way into Flatbush, and they will pick up Caribbean people. ICE will make their way into Harlem, into the Bronx, into these majority ethnic communities, and they will take whoever doesn't look the part as a US citizen. Our country is rapidly shifting into a fascist state. So to sit down and say, oh, it's not my problem because it doesn't directly affect me is not a smart thing to be doing. Because I'll tell you this, the 14th Amendment is exactly that, an amendment. It can be changed. What we are seeing right now, the hunting of particular ethnic groups, the detainment, the mass collection, it looks very, very familiar to something else that I've seen in world history.
What I want to say is when you hear people like his talk, right? Number one, they come across as tone deaf. You stated your family moved here, right? They moved and relocated to a country. How? They relocated to a country because of the civil rights movement allowed it to happen. Number two, this country has never been unified. It has never been organized. It's always been had this issue in a fascist society. You being ignorant of that because you were shielded in New York City doesn't mean it did not happen. Number three, America's always been this way. If you don't know America's history of recycling, colonialism, moving things out, gentrifying, doing things to certain communities, your ignorance of the law doesn't mean it's not true. You don't even know the stories of America to understand this happens all the time. What everybody's talking about is happening to other ethnicities. What they're focusing on, not agreeing with it, is people who are leveraging the economy. You got to understand what America has right now. That's the major issue. America has a labor and a wage issue, not just for certain ethnicities, but they do have a problem that young men are motivated. They're not motivated to work. They're not motivated to do. Why is that? The buffer class of immigrants coming in, which was a positive at the time, has resulted into a negative. If you have too much of people new coming in, you have to pull the resources out of the existing people here. So the people that are in America are getting less than they got 20 years ago. Why? Because the wage market is becoming cutthroat. It's becoming difficult. It is becoming very challenging to make money. People are saying in real time, right? America was a place where business and making money was a good thing. It is if you are a business owner. But if you are American, working class, trying to figure it out, it is challenging due to wage suppression, due to influx of housing, due to people not having accessibility. That is the issue that they're focused on. When you look at these smaller communities and you see the influx of people moving there, the reason why they're focusing on it is they're trying to enhance America's workers getting American-based jobs. Trump isn't doing anything Reagan didn't do. Reagan isn't doing anything Ford didn't do. Eisenhower, you keep going down the list. You are just not informed of anything past the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement made it very comfortable for other ethnicities to live. Remember, the civil rights movement was getting bitten, sprayed by water hose, thrown on the ground, and everything. Other ethnicities get it one time and they're not used to it. I'm gonna show you a video, right, of another group of people saying similar things that she said, and immediately would be impressed they didn't know how to respond or how to handle it. Fair use, baby. I want y'all to see this happen in real time. Listen, for all my viewers, you are seeing a video of when you disrespect law enforcement like the civil rights movement did, what will happen when you do that in real time. Pay attention.
Enjoying yourself?
You know, covering everything.
Nothing better to do?
Honor your oath. Why about honor your oath, bitch? How about that? Honor your oath. Oh, there you go.
I didn't do nothing. I didn't say nothing.
You're supposed to get lost. This guy goes to jail. He goes to jail. Let's go. Put your hands behind your back. Yep. That's right. You go to jail, bro.
What happened here, he made a slur and a curse word towards the officer, and he wasn't used to the aggression these officers have. Now they are arresting him and put him on the ground immediately.
I'm just watching. I'm watching. I didn't do nothing.
Hey, breaking my glasses.
Party's over,
I'm gonna have a heart attack. You're fucking pushing me. I'm not resisting. I swear I'm not resisting. I didn't do anything and I'm alive. I'm not doing anything.
What I want y'all to see is that this is light work compared to things that were going in the civil rights movement. During the civil rights movement, they sicked dogs on children. They put acid in public pools. They told people you can't sit at lunch counters. You made a comment that America is a society that has been changed. Why has it been changed? It has been changed because people put their bodies and lives on the ground. You are enjoying benefits and freedoms in this country without understanding what made that happen. When people make them, oh, it's so different. America's going through things, it's changing. You have to understand, a lot of us speak on correct history. And when we speak on incorrect history, incorrect things be said, incorrect comments are made, and people who live in coastal cities don't understand the true fabric and issues that come about in America. America's not changing with the ICE raid. America's not changing from how it's always been. What America has now, more than anything, is cameras showing it. The cameras can show you in 4K somebody getting put on the ground. The cameras can show you in 4K you being disrespectful to a police officer, and you see what happens when it happens immediately. You may not think it's not something out of the normal, but what I'm telling you is that this is America's history. Just because you're ignorant to it doesn't mean it hasn't been happening in this country for centuries. And I want you to know how many people, not all, are ignorant of the history and the real stories that happen in America. As a historian, that I love to call myself, you have actors like John Leguizamo speaking on actions that happened in the civil rights movement and giving inaccurate information on public platforms. I want you to listen, then we'll break it down how it is so not true. Fair use, everybody, fair use.
1930 to 1930, 6,000 Latinos were lynched, burned alive, and shot. Then we were massacred. We were redlined. We were segregated. We were experimented on. Our women were sterilized, unbeknownst to them in California in the early 1900s. And yet, we were the first to fight against segregation in 1911, the Maestas family in Denver, Colorado, and they won. Sylvia Mendez fought against segregation in 1940 and won, paved the way for Brown versus Board of Ed.
Mexicans, in fact, did not want it to end segregation because they benefited from white privilege. In fact, we know that the Mendez case was never about ending.
Did you know that? Did you know what the Mendez case in California, i.e. Texas, is about? All of this is very accurate information. This lady is giving out gems.
Segregation, if anything, it proves further my point, because basically what it says is that I don't want to end segregation. I just want you to treat me just as the rest of the whites because I am white. So it solidifies what we have been saying all this time, because at that time there were Mexican schools inside of the white communities. And if you don't believe what I'm saying, this is what Mexicans believed back then. We have John Herrera out here, the LULAC president in 1952, saying Latin Americans of Mexican descent belong to the Caucasian race and are therefore white.
From 18
the reason why I'm harping on these points, why you keep bringing all this up, King Crowder? I'm bringing it up, y'all, to back up my statement that America has always been this way. Nothing is new. History is just repeating, but instead of targeting Black Americans, it is targeting Hispanic Americans of this country. Nothing new, none of the laws, none of discrimination practice, none of the harshness, none of the penalties have happened. What they have done is shifted the focus. As sad as that is to say, that's the reality of it. What do they have to do to change? There must be change in conversation amongst them, just like it had to be among Black people. There must be a learn of codes, a standard system of speaking up, a standard system of handling business. Because what you are seeing right now is that these groups of people are actually shifting their focus. Stop saying it's not common. Stop saying it's Cali. No, it will be something all across those movements. And the final piece of information that will make it hit to you to let you know how true it is, I want you to see two Latino women speaking on why the internal issue is growing the seeds and what we see foster and to this day. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
La única comunidad que nos va a sacar de este hueco se llaman los negros
100%.
americanos.
100%.
African American community is the only community that has the power in this country to change anything. They are the only one with the experience of civil matter. They are the only one que tenían el esclavo ahí mismitico. They are the only one that are not going to get deported anywhere, and you cannot put them all in jail. So African American community, which is the community that is stepped on by Cubans, the most are the only ones that are going to save the Latinos. And I clap for the African American community that has not come out, because it is not. I do. We didn't do shit for them.
I get it. But I don't.
Me and you support, but in masses, we didn't support anything that was going with them. Latinos look at Cubans specifically. And I'm not gonna talk about any other community because I'm not part of that community, even though I'm a Latina with them. Cubans talk shit about African Americans. Cubans did not support African Americans. Cubans think that they all victimize themselves, that of this, all of that. African Americans are the only ones that are going to save your asses, Latinos. So you better start kissing. If you're going to kiss some ass in this country, you better kiss some black ass.
She went a little hard with it, right? But what I think she was saying is that there has been a disconnect. There has been a disconnect on what we see that will happen in the future. Let's wrap this topic up. In the future, in that community, there must be a political shift. There must be a political shift to say, hey, all this BS, all these things that we're talking about, all of these issues, we got to really address them head on. Why do we got to address them head on? Because we are being systematically approached and attacked. We are unequipped to handle the systematic approach and attacks. So how do we move forward with we knowing these issues are coming about? Number one, we got to acknowledge them. We got to acknowledge that these issues are real. We got to acknowledge that these problems are not going to happen overnight. We got to know that we are being attacked from all angles, and all of that kinship, that friendship, that morality that we thought we had is gone. Number two, politically, your youth, your class, must remove that old ideology. Be good, keep your head down. It ain't gonna work no more. Being good, putting your head down, not saying nothing will continue to have you targeted. Number three, you must activate and galvanize a base. That's what has to happen. You want the change, you want the scenery, you want things to turn around and be different. That's what you have to do. Moving on. Comment, like, subscribe, share the channel, baby. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Drake, take another L, baby. Dot, Kendrick Lamar went to your city, performed, had the crowd, sold out the Toronto Center twice. 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 He sold out Drake's hometown twice, and ain't nobody touch him. I thought you was that guy. I thought you had the 66666. I thought you had it on lock. You mean to tell me somebody came to your city, put his feet on your table, opened the door, made a sandwich, put the mayo, put the cheese, put the tomato, put the lettuce on a sandwich, ate that mug, and sold out your venue twice, and ain't nobody put hands on him? I thought you was the man. I thought you was the king. It's time to get some live reaction before I go in. Y'all, his favorite follower.
It got so bad, they started chanting one more time. Toronto crowd was shouting OVOs. Canadians went live, streaming the whole thing, chat.
Hold up, bro. I thought your man was the king of your city. I thought he had the 6 on lock. I thought he was the man in Toronto. I thought he was 6, Mr. 6, Mr. What? He went to your city, had the fans and the people all singing the song, but ain't nobody gonna say nothing. Dog.
So
I gotta play it again.
Canadians went live, streaming the whole thing, chat. They even singing "Rather Let a Canadian to Make Pac Turn in the Grave." New Ho King afterwards. This is New Ho King in Canada. this was the most shocking part for me.
Kendrick been the king of Toronto since 2013. To be honest, Ovi Host is crying. They gotta worry about affidavits right now.
Let's let that marinate for 2 seconds. Man, I'm saying he's been the king of your city since 2013. Wait a minute. Ain't nobody crashed out for him. I thought he put 100,000 in the street. Drake, you gotta shoot a fade with him. OVO, your guy has to shoot the fade with Kendrick. I don't want to hear nothing about being nice. I don't want to hear nothing about being understanding. That man has to shoot the fade with that guy. He got to. That man went to your hometown and got people singing the records all over your city, and we acting like it's cool. Bro, hell no. Hell no, bro. He went to your restaurant that you put money in, that you invested, and threw his weight around a dude from the West Coast. Listen, I don't want to hear no more talking about how much clout, how much support, how much love, how hard the Drake fan base go. I know the song is old. I know all of that. But a year later, bro, where your family at? Ain't nobody trying to put paws on them. Ain't nobody spin the block. Ain't nobody willing to crash out. Toronto. Toronto. I want y'all to see something. Toronto. The whole state of Toronto. City. Hold this head of Toronto. Hold it. You let your biggest artist get disrespected. Get told that he ain't good. They said that man wasn't good in his own city, bro. Hold his L, Canada. Hold it. Ain't nobody else gonna say it. Let me say it to you. You look bad, bro. You look bad. Your man got ran off the block in his own city, bro. In his own goddamn city. You know what? I don't like to pile on when a man is down. But we got to get other reaction to it.
So Kendrick Lamar had a show in Toronto. I believe today's the last day. I went to the GNX tour Chicago, and I remember a lot of y'all motherfuckers was like, bro, niggas in Chicago don't listen to Kendrick. Completely fucking sold out. I think this is beyond sold out. This man pulled up to Toronto on Friday the 13th. Not only was this bitch sold out night 1 and night 2, I be at the New Ho King eating fried rice. Had that bitch jumping. After he played Not Like Us in Toronto, he stood still like he was Michael Jackson while the entire crowd chanted one more time. This story will be told for generations. Y'all know when y'all was back in school and they would teach us about mythology and like fucking Hercules and
Drake, you gotta crash out. Stop liking Instagram posts. Stop. No, tell me you want to shoot the fade, bro. I don't want to see you liking nothing else. I don't want to see you chiming in. Listen, bro, you need to shoot the fade. You need to. I don't give a damn what nobody else tell you, bro. You gotta pull up on this man. Win, lose, or draw. You gotta fight this ninja, bro. You gotta fight that. You got to. At this point, the way it's going, your name, your legacy, and everything you stand for, dog, will never be the same. And I know ain't nobody else gonna tell you this. The moment you lose your hometown, bro, the moment everything goes downhill, you gotta have a base, bro. I know your career's on decline. I know you're not as big as you used to be. I know that. But bro, you can't be quiet no more. You gotta fight this nigga. Right? Everybody on your team need to pull up to Kendrick's show. You need to shoot the fade. You got to. You got to beat him up. You got to, bro. That's the only way you're going to get your support back. Call Aaron the plumber. Call Aaron the plumber. You got to get a squabble up going in your city. He showed out shows twice. He had people going twice. Ain't nobody say nothing. Man, it's a bad look, bro. It's a bad MF look. Next. This is getting worse. I'm not saying he's innocent. I'm not saying that. What I'm asking is what is his charges? Everybody gets mad at me when I ask this damn question. Diddy is a freak. We know it. Diddy is nasty. We know it. Diddy is not a good, whatever. What are the charges? It sounds like he got a freako put on him. It sounds like we making up stuff saying he did listen. What he did was egregious, but they all were complicit. I'm tired of hearing testimonies about him doing what he did. He did what he did. I'm not agreeing with what he did. But what did he do that was illegal? What did he do? He a freak. Got it. He's a heathenist. Got it. He should be ashamed of himself. Got it. I understand more why 50 and him are beefing. What he did to his baby mama with 50, all that, that's between them. I'm saying legally, the precedent is being pressed and stand for on black men. What did he do that required RICO? What did he do? What did he do? What is he guilty of? It's freak offs happening in every city. You don't believe me? When you fly a girl out, y'all drink, you have a mansion party. What's that? That's a freak off. If you fly a woman out and you pay for a flight, what's that called? Human trafficking. If somebody's consents gets blurry after y'all have relations and y'all did what they did, what is that called? Gray area. But to say that, man, what is he guilty of, bro? I'm going to play the update. I'm going to listen to the new news story so we can see and you can hear for yourself. Because the more I'm listening, the more I'm hearing. I'm not disagreeing with the brother. I'm asking, what did he do? Fair use. Fair use.
Real life drama.
This is a journalist outside of New York.
Jane believes Diddy's
a Diddy update.
Some real life drama inside that courtroom. Just moments ago, the defense attorney, Tenny Garagos, was questioning Jane about how she was angered by suspicion that Combs had purchased a Chanel bag for another girlfriend. I'm going to paraphrase a little, but here's what happened. Garagos says she got a Chanel bag. What did you get? Jane says, I got trauma. Garagos says, you got a Bottega bag, Van Cleef necklace, bracelet. What is a Bottega bag? Jane says, I'm sure you have one. Garagos says, I don't. But how much does a Bottega bag cost? Jane says, how much does my body cost? Now at that point, people were moving around in the courtroom. You could hear folks sort of turning around. Jurors were shocked. Combs' family also looked surprised. 3 of his sons are there, as well as his mother. Within minutes of that exchange, Jane asked for a break. When we came back from the break, the judge promised to get the jurors out a little early today. One juror yelled, yay, and there was laughter in the courtroom. Garagos says, nice to have a bit of levity, and proceeds to say to Jane, are you ready to proceed? Jane says, yes, and I apologize. Some real life drama inside that courtroom. Just moments ago, the defense attorney.
Hearing that update. What did he do wrong? I'm for real. What did he do wrong? What was it appropriate? What was crazy? We know he's not a good dude. We got that right. Cool. He's not a good man. What did he do that was illegal? What? 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 Keep looking at me when I ask the same question. We know what he did wrong. We know he wasn't a good person. We know our feelings are what they are. I keep asking people, what did he do wrong? What is illegal? What should he go to jail for? Not what you feel. Not what you think. What was wrong? And after you find out what is wrong, after you mention to you what was wrong, not feelings, does a man need to go to life for it? Does he need to go to life in prison off of different feelings? Does he? Does he? I'm just asking because I know if my life was on the line and I did things that were wrong, like, do I think I need to go to jail for life for that? No. I don't. I think evil men should go to jail for life. I think people that hurt children, absolutely. But somebody that did something with consenting adults who were getting bags, no. 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 Here's another update from 2 days ago on the trial. Fair use.
Young Miami's name came up quite a bit today in court. The defense showed a text message where Jane was clearly upset by the fact that there was a public display of Young Miami and Combs's relationship. Specifically in February of 2022, right after celebrating her birthday with Combs, Jane testified that social media images that she saw of Combs with Young Miami on a yacht in Turks and Caicos made her angry. Because of that, she sent a text message to Combs, which was entered into court as an exhibit. And in that text message, she threatens to call off any hotel nights if he does not get off that island. She said it was the first time she, quote, pulled that card. The defense showed that there were a number of periods of time that went by where Jane and Combs did not perform in any hotel nights. There were also a number of texts that we heard today from Jane where she set up the hotel nights, helped to set up the payments for them, and even purchased supplies for the escorts. Jane also said at one point in court, "I resent him," referring to Combs, "for knowing how much I loved him and knowing I could not say no to him." Rapper Young Miami's name came up quite a bit today in court.
Wait a minute. You couldn't say no. Why? You grown. We adults. What the hell do you mean you can't say no? What the heck you mean that ain't gonna work out? What do you mean? We grown. You can say no. You can decline that. You can go against it and saying, I disagree with how things are going on. You can. You can. Doesn't mean it's going to stop. Doesn't mean people are going to agree with it. Doesn't mean that news or things that are being said will not be started and talked about it. That's all I'm saying. Next up, other one. Other one. I got you. Thank you, D. Next up, we're going to break down our next topic. Camera lady walking in front of you. I'm sorry. You good. You good. You good. It's okay. I got another video I want to play about this trial that I want people to see. Stay tuned. Fair use. Fair use, everybody. Fair use. Fair use.
His obsession with, quote, cuckold sessions was his way of living out his bisexual fantasies because he was too ashamed to physically go there with the men himself. Garagos then asked about an escort named Paul Arthur, who was a regular participant in the freak-offs. Paul was Diddy's fitness trainer, and Jane said she was fond of him because he was nice to her. She admitted that she affectionately called him and Diddy, quote, her boys. Yeah, Jane said that Diddy called their threesome the perfect trifecta and that they often role played during their sessions as sports stars. She was Kobe Bryant, Diddy was Michael Jordan, and Paul was Shaquille O'Neal or Shaq.
Listen, name me where any of this fits the RICO standard. Name me where any of this is truly grotesque. I'm not saying I agree. I'm not saying I support. I'm just saying a man could potentially be doing 40 to 50 years in prison. Tell me where you are hearing, claims that are deserving of this. That's all I'm asking, man. To conclude, I am not supporting Diddy. I'm not. What I'm saying is I understand why these charges are being looked at funny. Next up, let's talk about it. If you do not qualify for reparations for Black Americans, stop speaking on the subject. If you do not qualify for reparations, do not speak on the subject. Let's listen.
In this curriculum, because it would pretty much dissipate the angerment when it comes to why we need to be sharing reparations amongst Black Americans, Caribbean Americans, because we are a part of a shared piece of history.
A Caribbean, an African didn't know anything about reparations. That started with Black Americans. Matter of fact, a Black American woman by the name of Callie House started the reparation movement back in the 1800s. She gathered Black people about three.
Let me stop before this brother keep going because he's giving historical context and he's accurate. But what I want to break down is specifically why people of different ethnicities are speaking on this movement and why it's weird.
300,000 Black Americans, ex-slaves, and was like, you know what? We need to take this up with the government, the Congress, that they need to pay us reparations for enslavement. Callie House. Every reparation movement in the United States goes back to Callie House. And once again, Caribbeans, Africans, they didn't know anything about reparations. That's a Black American movement. But back to my Callie House story. Man, I just get so infuriated when people try to hop on somebody else's movement, somebody else's wave. But Callie House gathered 300,000 PAN members. And it was like, yes, let's press this forward to the government. And you know what the government did? This government accused Callie House of fraud. They was like, how are you telling Black people that the government is going to pay them reparations? Why would you even think of that at this time? Because it's no, we're not going to do it. So why even press us? And they locked her up for a year. And that kind of slowed down her movement. She went back home and eventually died. But after they locked,
I want people to understand something. The reparations movement has never been as strong as there has been ever. Teenagers, college students, high schoolers, mamas, daddies, it's happening. The only thing you need to do is prepare yourself for what happened. Don't complain. Don't argue. Don't wonder why. You must understand that this movement is happening no matter what. No matter what. What can you do to understand why this movement is so powerful? It's so powerful because in real time, we're going to see a group of people that have been aggrieved historically. We are going to see a group of people who have been prejudiced against historically go after something from an economic standpoint. Again, what's reparations? Reparations is something that happens historically all across other ethnicities. Black Americans in this country, first time hyper focus on this issue to say, hey, economically, this is our bigger gaps. We don't need laws. We don't need sayings. We don't need powwows. We don't need more conversations. What we need now is economic-based platforms to support us. Why is this so controversial? Because it exposes those who agree and do not disagree with this action. And those who do not disagree are not being forgotten in historic context. Pay attention, pay attention, pay attention.
The California.
This is people who are against reparations, and Black Americans are keeping the receipts.
Legislative Black Caucus thinks that we forgot about that stunt they pulled last year when they were supposed to take the reparations bills to the floor to either be signed by Gavin Newsom or to be vetoed. Now, I want y'all to watch this video of Assemblymember Isaac Bryan from Los Angeles pretend like he cares about what Trump is doing to people. Check it out.
They call it a big, beautiful bill. We know that's not what it is, right? It's a big, beautiful scam. It's a big, ugly grift. It's not rooted in the people. Everything about this bill makes our lives harder. They're kicking people off our Medi-Cal rolls. They're taking away folks' health care. They're making college more inaffordable. They're divesting from climate solutions and a sustainable future. They're taking food out of our kids' mouths, literally. They are cutting Head Start programs. They are limiting SNAP options. They are starving families. And why are they doing this? Well, like Michael Tubbs said, they're doing it because they told us they would. More importantly, they're doing it because it benefits them. Our country right now is being governed by a ruling class of elites who don't care about everyday people. But we do care, don't we? Yes. We do care, don't we? Yes. That is what this convention is about. As what was said earlier, we know what they're doing. The question is, what are we going to do about it? And I submit to you, the only thing we can do about it is stand up, be heard, fight back, resist, keep on pushing until every voice across this country is heard.
So as you saw there, he had a very nice performance, and he says, we do care, don't we? And the answer is no. How dare you stand up there and talk about the scam that Trump is pulling on people? But what about the scam you pulled on Black people? You and your homies there. Yeah, we saw you with your arms crossed and folded because you was busted, pretending like you was going to actually do something as Black people was waiting for you to come out and say, yeah, we put it to the floor. So who do you think you talking to? You out there pretending and performing for people out there. But see, we know you, sir. We know that you don't mean anybody any earthly good. And you talk about they're, trying to keep the money for themselves. Well, what was your motive for not putting the reparations bill to the floor? What was your motive? Just because you guys were bored? Yeah, I know y'all said, it's going to take some more years to be studied. But no, we ain't buying it because we already know why we needed those reparations bills to be passed, or even at least to try to pass them. But there you are pretending. See, I wish I was there. I would have said, boo. I'd have booed you the whole way through. And I would have said, stop lying to these people. You out here lying because, see, we know you are for re-election. So, of course, you're going to get out there, put on your best suit, and tap dance and pretend like you care. You don't care. You don't care about starving children. You don't care about starving Black children in California. Because if anybody needs a check, it's Black Californians, sir. So I'll give you an Oscar A for effort, but we ain't buying the shenanigans, sir. But yeah, you don't care. You just care about people showing up to the polls to vote you in to do more of nothing for people.
The streets are talking. I don't think many of our political class understand the shift that has happened over the past few years. Everybody that wants to watch politics listens not to the big news networks. They have zero influence on the streets. Jason Black has more proof of the streets and how things go. Tariq Nasheed has more influence and sway on how the streets go. If you are a politician moving how you move towards the older Blacks, it will not work. That was fine. What? You catch that? It won't work. It won't. If your energy is neglect, say we're going to do something, but don't do nothing, it's not going to work no more. That strategy, that philosophy, that idea that you go and neglect Black Americans and promise them something without delivering, it's over. Political discussions are happening on campsites. Political discussions about identity, FBA, religion, what to expect, who are you voting for? We are in the heart of a new movement. The Black political class, either you're going to jump on to get it, or you're going to be swept underneath the rug. There is no more blind loyalty. There is no more blind understanding. There is no more blind, we're going to try to figure it out. Movement is dead. That wave is dead. That understanding is dead. From now on, if you want to see the progress, the growth, the shape-shifting, the magnitude expand, you have to understand you got to be a different man. If you are not pro reparations, you will not be helped. And I say all this to say, I don't think many of us understand how much of the reparation movement is strong. It's so strong that leaders from other ethnicities who are non-FBA means a Black immigrant from another country. When you say suspect things, you will be remembered. This brother is an immigrant who said a suspect thing. Now he has little to no support.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of Black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational Black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no.
Let me play it again.
My mother's Jamaican. My father's Panamanian. You have a lot of Black people in this country who are not descendants of the American slave trade. So I already know off top, there's a lot of Black people in America who aren't going to be able to get that kind of benefit or get reparations.
Well, most people who are for reparations, they feel like it should go to what they call foundational Black Americans anyway.
And I agree with that point. But I'm just saying, I'm just laying out, these are the reasons for why I'm no.
You are known for one of the groups that have been aggrieved historically because you won't get some. What? I'm no on you getting justice because I'm not going to get that justice you're going to get. I'm not going to believe you're going to get the support because I'm not getting that support. That's what this dude just said. He should not be voted in. He should not be supported. His name needs to ring bells everywhere because he got on a public platform and boldly said something that was disrespectful. Could you imagine someone saying on the public platform, I'm not for Jewish members getting anything because I'm not going to get some? I want y'all to remember this. When people show you who they are, you believe them. When people show you their energy, don't disagree with it. Don't fight them. Don't push back. Don't say, I this. Bruh, you move on accordingly. You show me how you are, brother. I ain't mad at how you are. I'm going to move on accordingly. That's it. There's no more running back and forth. There's no more saying, I need to do this. There's no more none of that. All of that talk that you do, all of that support that you're getting, you showing in real time how you feel. You showing how you feel. You're showing how you move. That is what makes people go about it. Let's move on to our next subject, y'all. Let's move on. Let's move on. Next, brother Kyrie Irving is a legend. We're going to swing back to the LA riots, but I'm going to take a different angle that brother Kyrie did. Shout out to brother Kyrie, a legend among us.
Too many coincidences happening. Yeah, I'm in these rooms. Yeah, right? Where everybody wants to be famous. Everybody wants to be a billionaire. Everybody wants the money. Everybody wants the best girl in the room. Everybody wants to be cool. But as soon as something sparks outside in humanity in the real world, being in these rooms with some of these individuals, they talk so tough about what they want to do and how they're going to change things. And then, eventually they run into something more powerful where it stops them. And, I don't need to go into more detail. You guys know in this chat. But it's crazy to watch somebody you looked up to.
Y'all know when Latinos and Hispanics.
All right. Me playing again for my brother Kyrie.
Too many coincidences. They run into something more powerful where it stops them. And, I don't need to go into more detail. You guys know in this chat. But it's crazy to watch somebody you looked up to kind of downplay who they are and downplay their position on this earth. That's really what I'm getting at. When I see people in my community or people from my community shrink, because I've shrunk in the moment plenty of times, and felt like I had to be more apologetic instead of strategically prepared.
Kyrie is a legend. You know what's so deep about what he's saying? All the famous people in LA that could speak on the issue don't. A lot of the famous people out there who could throw their weight around and say something don't. You know what makes it even more powerful? We all see it. We all see that they're not going to say nothing. We all see people are struggling with the same people that comment on it or the same people that have and understand what the reality is. And you know why it's such a reality point is that we don't understand that everything has real consequences, good, bad, or indifferent. That the world we living in now is completely different than what we once were. And all the rules, all the strategy, all the points of views in the section that once were talked about are different. They are, man. And why is it so eye-opening? It's so eye-opening because most people have no idea how real it is. They truly don't. They truly don't. On our next subject, we talked about a lot at camp this weekend. Share the live, share the live, share the live. Like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on YouTube, all platforms. We have you. People always think what we did 10 years ago is applicable now. What we don't know, ladies and gentlemen, we are no longer in a single person economy. We're not. We are in an economy now where you need people. You need couples, families, multi-generational homes. You need it. And the reason why I like to push it so much is that we have single people speaking about home ownership, which is a beautiful thing. But what we don't speak about is the
selling my
maintenance
house.
and the wear and tear that is required to maintain something that is valuable and a resource. Take a listen to the subject and how we have to unlearn everything we were taught.
And I'm getting ready to move back with my parents yet again. I am single. I do have a 9-to-5 job where it does not pay me nearly enough to cover the bills. And I've had this house for about 3 years now, and I am just exhausted. I am drowning barely surviving, not being able to make repairs because the house is now falling apart and I have no money in my savings to fix it. I have been saving for the past 3 years. All I've been doing is working and going straight home. I don't go out. I don't spend money on like coffee or anything. I try to save as much money as possible so I could get some money to make repairs for this house to make it nice and comfortable and livable. But I am at my wit's end now and I'm just tired. I honestly want to leave my job, my 9-to-5 job that's not paying me well enough to even cover the bills. I'm exhausted. I want to leave, but then I'm stuck with this house and I just don't want any of it anymore. So I'm selling it. I don't know what my plans are going to be after I sell my house and maybe leave this 9-to-5 job that I'm at. But we're just going to figure it out. So I'm going to sell my house and go back to living with my parents, unfortunately. And living with my parents is not going to be easy because it is very mentally draining. Financially, yeah, I'll be able to save some money, but it is mentally draining because living with some Spanish parents that treat you like you're 15 yet again, even though you are a grown-ass adult, is...
You know, the main thing she didn't address that I believe needs to be said, we're pushing homes, but we're not pushing relationships and family towards each other. Remember, making a home is a lifelong family commitment that is supposed to come in when you're creating something. Buying an investment that you're not willing to maintain and invest in long term, you're going to hurt yourself. Getting a home is a lifelong maintenance, upkeep strategy. It is a great tool for you growing something. But to get a home and treating it like an apartment is unreal. Maintenance, wear and tear, repairs, that all goes into home ownership. That is why homes need to be stated, because they are for families. I'm going to keep beating this drum as loud as I can. Homes are not for single people. Homes are for families. Do not flex and say, I'm getting a home. It's not for you by yourself. A home is meant for families. Please do not make a lifelong commitment without knowing where you're going to be with that long commitment. I know it sounds like a flex. I know it sounds like you're doing well compared to most people. But what nobody tells you is that that hot water heater is going to break down. That roof is going to need repairs. That maintenance is going to need upkeep. That grass is going to need to be cut. It is unreal to have that all on one person. Get an apartment until you get a family. A family isn't kids. A family is a man or woman or partners. Having two people will make the home and make it easier and livable. Do not make it and do it on your own. Please, please, please stop doing that. Next, I got an awesome story that I just learned about history, Black history specifically. Man, the brother, I forget his name, has escaped me. The director of Sinners is elite. Sinners, the movie. Did you know the car they were driving was by Patterson and Son? It was a Mobile made by C.R. Patterson. It was the first ever manufactured Black people vehicle in 1915. Did you know that movie was meant to highlight in so many deep parts about it was said? It was a Black pioneer vehicle. It was engineered between 1865 and 1939. It was one of those ones that was stylish, sleek, newer, mobility, ingenuity. It showed the ingenuity practices that happened to Black Americans at this time. Sinners has so many gems, has so many deep words, has so many preferences, has so many things that happen in real time that we are still trying to catch up on. It is incredible. It is a much watch. It is the best film that is released this year. I don't care what nobody else tells you. It is the single best film that has been released this year. You don't believe me? Tell me the next best. Tell me the next best film that was better than Sinners. In 2025, don't tell me about last year. In 2025, name me a better organic film. Name it. Oh, you can't. Moving on. Moving on. Let's keep going on to one of our next wonderful subject I want to touch tonight, y'all. The Juneteenth flag. As I said last week, Juneteenth is approaching. Juneteenth is a holiday made specifically to celebrate foundational Black Americans' history, legacy, and things they required to this country. Let's break it down. Juneteenth flag is this. The red, white, and blue is meant to represent the American flag, and that this formerly enslaved and the descendants of Americans were Americans. The arch is the curve that covers the width of the flag, represents the horizon, the opportunities that are promised that lay ahead for Black Americans. The star, the white star, tends to represent the Lone Star States. Remember, as well as the freedom for Black Americans all over the Americans, the United States of America. The burst is the outline of the stars inspired by nova, by astronomers, used to mean a new star. Black Americans are new stars in the movement in this country. It is meant to represent a new beginning for Black Americans in America. The day markets when Black Americans got their freedom from Galveston, Texas, 40 minutes from here. It was the Emancipation Proclamation, and what all of slavery has been abolished. That is what Juneteenth is about. It's not about no damn Afro tag. It's not about Carnival. It's not about Joe Long. It's not about drinking. It is about representing for the formerly enslaved and what they played and what they earned in this country. It's not meant to be disrespectful, ladies and gentlemen. It is meant to educate. It is meant to teach. It is meant to highlight. It is meant to show. It is meant to prove why this subject is important. Remember, this is a teaching moment. Juneteenth is meant to celebrate the legacy that Black Americans have in this country. Not disrespect others. Not saying things slip. Not saying you don't have credibility on what you does. Freedom. What we're saying, this is more than just a fact. It's more than just a movement. It's more than just a saying. It's more than just an opportunity. What it is saying is that Juneteenth is a lifestyle. Juneteenth, understand. Juneteenth is a subject. Juneteenth is a movement. Juneteenth, it is something that will long surpass and outlaw all of us. What I want you to learn is that Juneteenth is meant to highlight the perspective of Black Americans. It's meant to shed light. It is meant to get FBAs and their cultural pride back. I'm not saying that you can't represent in your time. I'm for you represent. Let us have our time too. Let us shine too. Let that pride and culture and understanding that love, let it go through. Let it be respected. Let it be loved. Let it be championed. Let OG Black be taught and learn on this subject. As we continue to wind down, as we continue to break down, chop it up and screw, I got another viewpoint on why Black Americans are the true and OG Americans of this country. Shed alive. Shed alive.
When Latinos and Hispanics be like Black Americans are next, They really thought that Black Americans are immigrants. And that explains why they voted the way they voted. They tried to get us up out of here. But I got to say to the Latino community, not only did your ESL classes, but the American educational system failed you tremendously. Because Black Americans are not immigrants and we're not going anywhere. And this is how ill-informed they are. They really think because they're in the middle between black and white that they're white adjacent, when that's far from the truth. It's only 3 categories that's broken down in this country. You have white Americans, you have non-whites, and you have Black Americans. The people in the middle, y'all just extras in this movie. The main characters are the white Americans and the Black Americans, and sometimes the Native Americans make a guest appearance. This country spent too much money, trillions of dollars, in painting Black people as the bad guys. That's the default, to even get rid of Black Americans, as sad as that may sound. And you know who's catching on quick, who's learning the game real quick? Africans and Caribbeans. That's why they're cosplaying as Black Americans. They're not cosplaying as Black Americans to trick us Black Americans. They're doing it to trick white Americans because they don't want to be deported. Y'all know when Latinos and Hispanics be like,
the buddy, light skin buddy. Shout out to that content creator. He on point. Remember, America is hypo at racial politics. Other countries, there's a mulatto, there's a light skin, there's a multicultural fashion. In America, either you're Black or you're white. There is no in between. There is a hypo standard for racial identity and hierarchy in this country. Most people don't understand. When we speak on the racial politics and identity of Americans, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how in real time we are facing that issue, how in real time the politics, the issues, the problems, the racial identity, the cultural sayings, all of that is being discussed, just in different forms and understanding. That's literally half of the political conversation. That's literally half of the political discourse. That's literally every single talking point we see in this country. Now that we're coming towards the end, and we're getting towards the end of our lesson, today's subject by your host, King Crowder, is meant to shed light on the story of America. Not his, not her, the story. The story of America is all the problems we speak about have always been there. The racial disharmony, the politics, the issues, the problems, the wars, the violence has always been there. Some groups have been able to surpass it, to fly under the radar with it. But now, the focus, the shifting, the energy is being captivated towards you. It is being showed in real time that even though it may seem like we got problems, Black Americans complain, Black Americans talk a lot, Black Americans on in real time, problems we speak on, not serious. Like State Property said, you can get up or you can lay down. You can catch this fade or you can keep running from your problems. And other ethnicities that avoid the problem is having problems. The Asians with higher education, the Latinos with laws enforcement. We are seeing the problems that the buffer classes, other racial classes will continue to have. Remember, this is a teaching moment. I'm here to teach you what we were never taught. None of us were miseducated. None of us were informed. But now we got to catch up in our adult life. The political systems that are already in place, the political systems that are in fabric. It's not the other people to teach you. It is up to you to remain informed, to remain diligent, to remain focused, to remain transparent, and to know who, what, when, where, and how these problems will continue to rise. As we continue to close out tonight's live, take care of yourself, teach your family, and read. Fathers, you want to know 2 perfect days gifts that you can give for yourself? Number 1, the ISIS papers. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is the most beauty psychologist that ever lived. She revolutionized, she taught, she teach, she championed, she displayed racial politics, harmony, and all the issues we have until this day. Number 2, because you support your boy, you support King Crowder, you see my vision, you see me climbing up and moving up this content creation game, you get things I wish my parents would have taught me by me. It's on the YouTube, it's in my link, it's in my cart. Hopefully you'll get something that will benefit you. Remember, your mind, your body, your spirit, they're all muscles. You got to work on all to develop them, to build them, to champion them, to work on them, and to see them grow. What I want you to learn on tonight's live is this. We don't have to agree on where you stand, what you believe, what you think, or what your belief system is. But what we do got to agree on is this. America ain't changed. America is who it has always been. What we are seeing now is more cameras, more access. Everybody has a mic. Everybody has a voice. But think about this. Before we had cameras and voices, imagine how bad they treated those in the civil rights movement. Imagine what they did to those Black Americans at the time. They were fighting for civil rights. Not equal, civil rights. To be treated like a person. Once you understand how much progress had to be made from then, your perspective, your mind, your energy, thoughts, your feelings, your mentality, your ego, the way you think, the way you drive, the way you go after anything will change. Remember, politics, it's violence without watershed. This country that we live in is an extremely political nation. Don't ever get confused. Don't ever think. It cannot and will not happen. Thank you for tuning in again for another edition of Live on Sunday. It's your boy, King Crowder. Comment, like, subscribe, share the live. Happy Father's Day to all my daddies out there. Remember, you're not a daddy until you're 18. You're a daddy forever. Hopefully you share. Hopefully you learn. Hopefully your work week is amazing. Hopefully the rest of your week is amazing. And most importantly, you subscribe. You get my watch orders up. And I'm a little away from 1,000. If you want more content like this, let your boy know and continue to watch me grow. Back in now, King Crowder, back again. Y'all on